Hi, it's Colleen Schmidt from Divination Counseling Service here to present the second part of the Diurnals I wanted to get through today. So we did the mundane chart, but this time I want to look at a lottery winner. Okay, and so we're going to go back to all of the things that we would like to see for people who are gambling. We would love to see the trine from the ascendant to the fifth house cusp. We would love to see connections between the second and the eighth house, or the ninth house, or the 11th house. Okay, so these are the big highlighted houses for charts. You really want to watch, particularly where Jupiter falls. So let me give you a little bit of background before I begin. First of all, thank you for watching the video. And as always, thank you to all of my subscribers. And if you're not a subscriber, I hope you'll become one. And if you would, please like, share, comment. Most particularly comment. This is an educational channel, and I would love to hear from you guys. So, this story goes that there is a man, and he is a male, and he won the lottery. I'm not going to give you, again, his natal chart. I can tell you it was a significant amount of money. I can also tell you that he did not know on the day that it was drawn. As a matter of fact, the fact that he had gotten this kind of ticket was a mistake. Somebody made a mistake, the clerk, and sold him this ticket versus I think he wanted something else. No matter. Weeks later, he's cleaning out his wallet. Notice the cleaning out of wallet, the mistake. One thing I'm going to make very clear to you before we even begin, Hades is everywhere on this one, as it should be. If Hades wouldn't be there, then the astrology wouldn't be right. So he's cleaning out his wallet and he finds this lottery ticket. And he, of course, checks it. Probably online, because you can scan those things with your phone. You can. So I'm going to go with online. I'll tell you later why I thought that, or I'll show you why actually. And he won. So our job is a little harder. This was actually a lot harder to prepare than you might think. It was a huge, significant amount of money. However, nothing jumped out at me. Well, until I got into it. What I had to do, though, was instead of looking at two charts, as I did for the last that we just did, I actually had to look at 3 days. The day he was born, the day he won, the day he figured out that he won. So we're going to do that. And just like I did in the last video, I'm going to look at the 2 diurnals. And at the very end, I'm going to look at the lineup of the natal with the 2 diurnals, and we'll see exactly how I came to the conclusions that I came to. And again, I would always love to hear what you would have to offer. So let's go look at the date that he won. Not the date he knew he won, the date he won. Okay, let's have a look. So here's the chart. This chart was for November 25th, 1992. And I'm starting with November 25th because he didn't find out until December 21st. Yeah, this camera. And interestingly enough, there's way more hits, if you will, on the 21st than there are on the 25th. So I'm starting with the 25th, but I do want to point out that the 25th chart is probably not as important as the 21st. I just wanted to point that out because I think that here we go again. As astrologers, we make these assumptions, and we have to be more careful. So as this is a moon chart, and the moon is in the 6th house in Sagittarius, okay? Sagittarius is very lucky. That is here we go with there's Jupiter. Now, Jupiter also happened to fall at 8 degrees of Libra, coming right toward that fifth house cusp. And we already know that the fifth house cusp is really important. Interestingly enough, you would figure that he would have figured it out over the next 7 or 8 days. And in actuality, he did not figure it out until December 21st. So it wasn't even when Jupiter made the crossing. So I do want to point that out. Jupiter was in there when he finally figures it out. There's other than that, this is again not the most progressive chart. There just isn't a whole lot here. Academia doesn't even learn anything for a couple days, and that's telling you that. Same thing, Jupiter's not crossing. So even if the Jupiter, which in this case is actually squaring the ascendant, okay, not the moon as much, okay, although it's not really doing anything. So it's really interesting. I thought this chart was amazingly nothing. So here we have a Hecate, and we do have the white moon Lilith. So there is something, wisdom of talents of that day. There's something that can be learned or earned from that day. White moon Selena. Okay. Again, you've got Icarus retrograding back to the descendant. But again, it's more like more things are happening for him the day after, and they probably don't apply to winning this ticket. The 24th, the 24 doesn't really have anything. You go up here to 15 and you've got destiny. Destiny is the cusp of the ninth house. And we know that whatever is at the cusp of the ninth house is very, very important for winning. In this case, it was destiny. That's the only thing he's got so far, right? I mean, in this aspect, I'm going to go back and do other things. Then we have something very serious is going on, because now this is about 2 degrees away. So I don't even know if I would really use that, but I'd say, oh, there's something serious going on. And the same thing, all of that, nothing. So you see that here we are, and I'm not getting a whole lot of stuff from this chart. Not yet. Okay. So what I did is, because the only thing I got was there was something on that ninth house cusp. And we do know that cusping of the ninth house is really important. But what also is really, really interesting about the cusp of the ninth house is it is an Aries point. Okay. So whatever is destined is kind of like the Aries point. It's in the world. It's coming from the world. And in a way that is true. It was a big lottery. So it was more of a world thing. That is the only thing on the first look that I saw. Now you got to understand something. There's a significant amount of money here. I just can't believe that there's not a more obvious situation. So again, it really shows you that, and look at this, the thing that the would be expansive, which would be Sagittarius, rules Jupiter, yada. It's intercepted, which is really true. That first he had to get through the Scorpio to get to the Sagittarius. And maybe that's why he didn't know right away. I mean, you could really look at that and say, well, it's because the house of Jupiter was intercepted. The thing that Jupiter would rule, rather, because Jupiter itself is in Libra. And then again, Sagittarius and Libra, well, they're, in sextile to one another. Opportunity. So I did that. I did a brief, I did a brief look. So then I go to the dial, and in the dial, I do the exact same thing that I did with the last mundane chart. I might take a brief. I might say, okay, there's something exciting going on this day in the world at large. Unexpected, unpredicted. Okay, and I would have been right. Look at photography show up on this one, though. Oops, I can't do that. I keep forgetting because I go out and then I can't do it. There it is. Okay. So you look at that. So photography shows up on this one too. But it is a ticket. It is a picture. Okay. So we have, but look, Mars, Neptune. Well, anyone who died, that, of course, there'd be no action on this day. But look at the sun midheaven. That's like recognition. Look at this. We have Amor Vesta, boundaries on work. Now we're starting to get somewhere, but there's delays on it. You see that? How perfect is that? Okay. So it's absolutely incredible stuff. All right. So then I do my math as I do. And here it is. I had to do a lot with this chart, so there's a lot more notes. So in this particular chart, which I got to find because here it is. Okay, because I did 3 of them. Okay, so what the first thing we do on this chart is we go back to those angles. Remember this? We have 5.3 cardinal. We have 11.21 mutable. That's how I do this. So that when I go back into the dial, because it doesn't matter what sign it is, it matters what the element is. I would then begin at 503. There it is. And look at this. Surprise. Not quite there, but it's coming. You know, Pandora in all the chart work that I've done has been pretty important. So I just want to say that. So we go from 503 to 2003 of fixed. There's my second number. All right. So I'm going to go. So you have 503 cardinal equals 2003 fixed, one axis. If you add 2230 to the 503, you get 2733. Look what's there. Mars. Okay, but remember, Mars is an aspect to Neptune on the Aries point. So this is not the day that he knows, but this is the day he won. And look at this, Mars equals just rewards. Look at this midheaven and ascendant. It was a calling, okay? Even if he doesn't know yet, there's news for him, okay? He doesn't know. He doesn't know, which is so bizarre, okay? I also use the number 1233 mutable because that's what this equals, and that's where justice is, okay? So I did this, and I'm not gonna go through the asteroid list yet because I want to save time. I want to go quickly. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop here, pull up the December chart, okay, before I get to the big thing where I put all 3 out there. Okay, so give me a sec. So here's this chart. Let's first look at the chart. I was looking at the Aries point of that chart because it's really amazing. Okay, so the day our gentleman finds out that he wins the lottery is actually December 21st. He's cleaning out his wallet. He finds the ticket. Okay? So on this day, we got something's getting worse, melpomene. Well, it could have been his wallet. And that's why he had to clean it. It was like, oh, this wallet is so bad. Something on the ascendant was getting worse. Okay? Notice 2621. Okay? This, and that's cardinal, and this is also cardinal. 9, 10. Aries, okay? Now, as I go around this wheel, okay, I still don't have a lot. But look at this. Now Jupiter is getting real close to the ICO. It's opposite. I thought it was going to be, but it's not. It's actually going this way because the chart comes this way. So all planets appear to be going backwards. So Jupiter is now a little more than 2.5 degrees, okay? So Jupiter is no longer in square to the ascendant, okay? it wasn't in square then, but if think about this, Jupiter, because of being in Libra, it's almost like he did have to wait, that whole time to figure that out. So let me just go grab that other chart for just a second. Yeah, I was right. It was square Jupiter. Look at that. So the reason why he never got it in the beginning was he had to really wait for the square to pass. The square is no longer there when we look at the next chart. So I just wanted to double check that I wasn't wrong. I wasn't. So you can see that that is no longer in play because 12 degrees is not in aspect to 26. Okay, so that actually played out. The 24 degrees, very close, but again, he was cleaning. It was an action, so I'm not even going to use that. Keep going. We're all the way here, and look at this. Something related to work. Hestia is here. Okay, something related to work at 16 of, which again is just right outside that Aries point, which is so interesting. So that Hestia would be square the chart that had the 15-degree destiny. So then I would go to the next one, which is 24. And again, Vesta's close, but I would go with Hestia. So there's definitely something about work. And what you don't know is that, he had a lot of financial problems. I think he held more than one job. I believe that was the story. I won't swear to it, but I believe it was. Then I'm going to keep going around. Again, nothing at 26. 29 has an attitude of just do it. So there's, again, nothing really outstanding until you get to Venus. Venus is now at that 15-degree mark. Remember, the destined mark at the cusp of the ninth house. Well, this isn't the cusp of the ninth. This is now the cusp of the eighth house. Remember, the eighth house is still really important to gambling and winning. So you have the ninth house show up on the day that he wins, which is exactly right. And then you have the eighth house, same thing. Only now it's, and that Venus is trining that Jupiter. So here's where I start to feel, and I'm going to get to the asteroids in a minute, but that's where I start to feel the connections taking place, is with that Venus, that Jupiter. We're talking about the eighth house cusp, great place to look. Then again, there's chaos coming in here. But it's a little bit coming in. It's just like it's more chaotic the next day, and it probably is. I can talk to you about that. You also have somebody who's charming, but they're going to be hiding something. I'm going to tell you this man has Helidago everywhere. He did not talk about his win initially. He really didn't. Okay? So if I go to a dial, I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing. And I start in the Aries point. I see the Zeus sun. Very excited. You're starting something. But look at the Saturn Venus. For these people, money was tight. Money was an issue. And my feeling is that even when he won, I don't think he was somebody who, I wouldn't know. I mean, it's been years and I would love to find out, but I don't think this man blew everything. Not with the Venus Saturn. They would have been much more conservative about how they handled that money. And Zeus is there. So that's really interesting. Then, now what's really interesting is look at the Astrea up here, and it comes with Lilith and Adamite. They have to make a lot of decisions. They are going to do it over time. But look at this. Somehow, Lilith is there. And I'm not sure. Now, Lilith, the decision maker, but then Lilith, the black moon. So there's some real heavy karma here. And it's justice for service. Isn't that incredible? And he had to find it. He had to seek it out. It was in his wallet. Okay? He didn't realize it, to be honest with you. But is that not amazing? And that's just the Aries point. That is truly also a part of his story. So as people are telling his story, and his story is told, I'm not going to say who he is because, again, I'm not really into that, but because I'm sure he's still around. But I really feel that he was very, very careful with the Aries Adamate and the Aries Saturn and the Aries Venus. He was very, very careful. I'll put money on it. I know he was. But I know he was from just the parts and bits and pieces that I've read of the story. And that's really important. So then I go back in and I do my math. Here we go. Again, another page of notes. And we're going to start with the same numbers. So you go back and remember I said 26, 21. That is a cardinal. 9, 10. That's a cardinal. So what I do is I start with those two numbers and then I build. So let's go in and figure out what they are. Okay, so if I start with the 26, 21 of cardinal, I'm starting down here. And I have to subtract because it's actually 21. Okay. But look at how it equals another ascendant. No, actually it doesn't. It equals Hades. I'm sorry. And the only reason why I knew that, because I did the work. Okay. Because we're going to see Hades on there. So the ascendant equals Hades. What was he doing on the 20th? He was cleaning. He was cleaning. He was cleaning up his wallet. So that was very accurate. So the 2621 also equals 7111. Let me just put you there. Okay, there you are. Or 1011 mutable. You see how it works? I'm trying to do this so that people can start figuring this out pretty good. Now, from this axis, I would do 2230. And what I did was I took the 71, and I think I subtracted it to get 1851. So it would be right in new beginnings. There it is. There's beginnings that equal endings. Oh, I loved this. I loved this. Look at this. Endings and beginnings for the sun and his partner. Because of an unpredictable, I think it's an event, but, unpredictable, and it says node, contact, connection. Okay, isn't that not incredible, guys? And this is just the surface reading, because I'm going to put the other asteroids, just like I did with the other one that I did for Monday, and I'm going to do the same thing for this. I'm going to put them all up. But look at that. I just was like, whoa! It was so unbelievable. Okay. So this creates then, this beginning and endings, creates the axis for the ascendant. Then I would finish the ascendant and I would move to 910 cardinal because that would then begin the midheaven. Okay, and look, so much Neptune on that. I really don't think he knew what he was going to do. It was probably such a surprise, but look at how destined it is. Look at it changed his family. It's a turning point for him. You see all that? Look at all that right there. Okay. So look at that. Yeah, it's a turning point. It's an excess of something that creates a turning point, which creates transformations within his family. I think that's incredible. Okay. But he didn't know until the 21st. So 10-1, he could stop working. So then, or he could do what he wanted to. See, I always think, I don't like to say stop working because I don't think that's really what happens sometimes. I think that sometimes what happens is that people find what they really want to do and they don't have to worry about having to make X amount of dollars doing it. And that's always a good thing. So then if you add, I think it's here, 16 I want to go to. That's 13. 16, 40. There we go. And there is the other axis, which then equals 140, which looks excitement that I cannot talk about. Hildago says he's not talking. Valentine, I'm sorry, says how excited he is, but he can't talk about it because it would be a risk. Oh, it's so great. Look at part of fortune with Jupiter. Look at that Mercury node. It's just, again, all of this midheaven, Cupido, midheaven. It's just his whole future has transformed because of what has just happened. And it would look like a risk, but in actuality, it was a really good thing. And so when you get to the asteroids, and this is one of the reasons why I really study the asteroids, I think that we could have figured it out a little bit with that Jupiter, but I think if we really go into the details, you can see a lot more. And that's what I'm going to do when I pull up my next sheet, which is going to have everything on it, everything. So let me get to that. So here we are. And again, I used green for natal. So it's always harder to see the green. But these are pencil. And you can see just from my list that on the 21st, look how many asteroids showed up. And look how it affected, especially in his midheaven, his future, and how his social status is, how the world would see him. How that changed from the 21st and in his natal chart. Now, I do want to point out the 20. So I'm going to just really quickly go through all of this. So on the 25th, we had Mars, which we talked about. Duke is retrograde, but Duke also can be a money, or can tell you that the significance of it. So we have just rewards that are significant because of something that he did. And it talks about, again, there's something about being conscious of a body awareness. I don't know what that has to do with. I also know that his winning would be a surprise. I don't know what academia does. I know that Rosetta is out, I think, by 3 minutes, which is the truth, but there's lies going on. Somebody's not speaking out about something. They're actually withdrawing from something that they bonded with. And then it talks about maybe for a health matter, maybe somebody, again, the villain is money. Realize that on the 25th, he doesn't know he won the money. He is in dire straits about money. Money is a villain to him. Okay, he's pretending a lot. That's what people do when there are money shortages. Been there, done that. So seeing Perk in there and lust, not all that. This person probably did not have the best day on the 25th, despite the fact that they did win this lottery. And you can go on. Hades is there. Duke still shows up, which sometimes happens with these. I'm going to pull this up so we can see it. That makes it a lot better, doesn't it? There you go. So on the 25th, you have, but he still doesn't really know what's going on, does he? That's Calypso. He doesn't know that there's a just rewards coming. He's not conscious of it. It will be a surprise. He'll figure it out when he scans it online. And here we go, the bonding and that's all still there, okay? And this could be related to work. He might work with machines. But look, the villain is money. We have to think logically, my partner and I. But what I really loved about this was Eureka showed up. And Eureka means that, A, if they were having money problems in the day, they probably made it. But also, it is a Eureka day for him. So we go back in. I think that's more for me, just like I think Duke and Duke are more for me. But realize that this is true. He did not know on the 25th that he had won this money. So we go now and we look at what happened on the 21st. And I love the fact that Hades is still a huge factor in this chart stuff. Look at natally. It's also Hades. He's cleaning. Someone who made a mistake when they sold him the ticket. He's cleaning his wallet when he finds it. It's just incredible. Hades is a huge factor. He might have been cleaning his overall house because house showed up on the 21st. Ornamental. To make things, but it's actually faith on. He might have been actually, I lie, he might have been cleaning a car. Faith on is a car. Could have something to do with a car. Could be that as soon as he realized he won money, he decided he'd have to get a car. Okay? Duke, again, now not retrograde, is kind of another indicator of this big money, but, Hephaestus tells you that something doesn't fit. Well, is it the couple? A lot of times couples go through things and they might look at what they want to do with the money and maybe it's two different things and that would work. but could be that, this man doesn't feel like having won all this money would put him in a stead with people who are like him. People wouldn't be like him. So Hephaestus is odd couples. Berlin means that you're doing things backwards. So there's an opportunity, but it's kind of backwards. It's backtracking is what it is. He won it a month ago almost. The opportunity's there, the payout that's going to make money healthier. Money is healthier. Hygeia. He's going to take a plunge into his own destiny. This was all meant to be. And there's something he might have celebrated with a dinner because of the dinner showing up. Messenger. It was good news for the family or for other people who are close to him. And I'm going to go with like immediate family. They're a willing victim, and the Aragon is about self-destructive behavior. And sometimes when people win money, they are very self-destructive. But I think that here's the beginning and the end, and here's the big money. Okay. So remember, I talked about banks with the last chart on a mundane. She is making really good money, by the way, but she also works for this humongous company. And think of big banks as big money, but it's also big. Okay. And so, yeah, he won big money, actually. And then if you look on the midheaven, you get the same factors. I'm sorry. Here we are. You know that his family's going to change because everything's going to change because he won a lot of money. And there's also a lot of enlightenment that comes through this excitement or this Valentine, okay? And Weasley is only out by a few minutes. I did circle it because Weasley is also a faulty perception. And I think the fact that he didn't realize he won on the 25th is a faulty perception. Okay. Then we come down and what did I write here? Oh, I just hate when I do that. Let me check my paper because I can't always read that one for what it is because... Oh, I just did that for Weasley. I wanted to really pay attention to Weasley. Ditto is whenever anything is repeated. Well, the truth be told, he actually won on the 25th of November, not in December. Requiem is there's a real sense of peace about this. Again, Chiron is a turning point. They're both retrograde, but he's at peace with this turning point. Stockholm, I'm never really sure of why it shows up. Look, it showed up twice. All right. I don't think that this person, and it's retrograde, I don't really think that this person is somebody that likes to be yelled at, but I don't know. And then Lee is, I think, how he found out. This is his face and having to keep a straight face because you don't want to enable other people. And that's why you don't speak up about the money. Okay, Eros is too that it's very exciting, but it's a risk. It feels destined. It creates new beginnings, but also there's a sense of not there. Because that wasn't the day you won, too. That's the other thing. So not is kind of really important in this. Now, in order for something to really work in astrology, there has to be stuff on the natal, which is the reason why I use the natal. Okay. Now, one of the things I wanted to do is I want to go back. Let's take a moment. I want to go back. I want to look at the house cusps of the natal chart, only to write them down because I think that we're going to find, well, we'll see. Okay, so I'm back and I did find out what I wanted. First of all, on November 25th, you had a 5-degree, 3 minutes of cardinal ascendant. And ironically, his 12th house is 5 degrees, 22 minutes of cardinal. So we got a hit on the 12th house, which is when he finds out something, which is really interesting. Okay. He also had... from the, let me see, there was another one. Oh, the fourth and the 10th house. So the IC midheaven on his birth chart is the Aries point. Okay. So it is that Aries point. Remember that 15 degrees of the Venus that was actually a hit? That 15 degrees was also a destiny point. Well, those are both in the axis with his midheaven. So that earning or getting big money is something that was destined for him. Okay. The other thing that I thought was pretty interesting was the sixth house is and the 12th house. So the sixth house, which is not mentioned, is also a house where there is on the 25th, the day he wins. So on the day he wins, this is the cusp of his 12th house. He doesn't know yet. He won't know until this hits the ascendant, which does not happen until, well, actually, it's not even the ascendant itself, but it hits the, on the 21st, it's just over that axis at 351 cardinal. So it's sort of more affected in that 21st house. So I did want to point out that you do want to look at house cusps, because this is the cusp of the 6th and the 12th house of the person who won's chart. Okay. And so it's really interesting to look at that. See that 602 fixed is actually when this is going to be the 12th house cusp. Really interesting. He also has a 26-degree second and eighth, but it's not cardinal. It's fixed. Isn't that interesting? I thought it was interesting. Anyway, so I did want to point that out. The seventh house was so it was 26 degrees. So I thought that was really, really interesting. 2916 for his 12th house cusp. And basically what you do is you take all the numbers, and on the 25th, there was, the closest that we get is within 2 degrees again. So it's like he has stuff, but it's not exact. So I was even telling somebody about this. I don't see how you can win this amount of money and not have things jump off the paper. But he did, and we do have things like the Venus. We do have things like and all that fell in the Aries point, his midheaven, the destiny, the Venus, and it waited till the Jupiter was not in square any longer. So there's a lot there that tells us, but it's not as clear cut as some charts are. And I had to work really hard to find this. It's interesting because you can see a lot where he was married and he's telling his significant other. There's a lot of that. Okay. You can also see that things were getting worse when this happened. And then it was like a really serious thing when it all happened. So this is all just kind of, his sun was in this axis. His So these are just the angles of his chart. And in his chart, we can see that there's stuff going to be going on that he didn't know about, that he would become more conscious of, risks that he would take, gambling, okay, palace, So again, he was really worried, I do believe, about his own actions, and he was really looking for advice. So this is actually somebody who knew this was a turning point, saw this as a turning point, told his wife, did not talk about it. Hidalgo, okay? Hidalgo shows up all over the place. Here's Hidalgo. Here's Hidalgo. He didn't talk about it. He was smart. The fact that he didn't know right away. Calypso. Okay, so there is a lot in here that does correlate with exactly what happened and how it occurred. Here's another Calypso right here. So one of the things you look for are those kinds of themes. All right. I think it was a surprise. Of course, that surprise didn't show up for days. But this kind of gives you an idea. There's the Achilles, there's the sun. Okay. Brace. Yeah. He had to brace himself. Dalius is on there, but it's retrograde. Okay. So this more tells you about the man than it does that he was winning the lottery. The only thing that really told me that he was destined for this was, as I told you, the Aries point, then you mix in the Venus, then you mix in the destined. So there was something destined. Also, it's also grave. I think he suffered terribly until this happened financially. I think they really did have a lot of problems. I think the Poseidon, I think there's a lot of good things that happened as a result of this. There's the Chiron. He was meant to have that, but it also brought a lot of, there's the Chiron. It brought a lot of chaos into his life, especially ornamental. Okay, because that's what it does. It brings all the riffraff out of the wallpaper and all of that. But I really wanted to show this because there's Eureka on the day of, but I don't, and Bam also showed up. I thought Bam was in here somewhere. These are weird kind of asteroids that I work with, but they also will tell you that something's been hit. Like it's something you want to look for. I can't find where that is, but Eureka I could find. So, a lot of work, but well worth it. Well worth it. There we go. Well worth it. So, but I did want to look at that. And I think that the reason why I found that chart so very interesting is because it's not at all what you'd expect to see. It's in there, but yet for those of us who are looking at this in terms of gambling, I'm going to go back to one of the other charts. Let's give me a minute here. I wanted to clarify this because one of the things that you really do want to do when you're doing this kind of work is you really want to pay attention to the house cusps. Okay. Now, he in his chart has a 29 degree axis at the 11th and the 5th. So we go to the 11th house cusp and the 5th cusp. So right in here on his natal chart, he has a 29 degrees, like it's going into the next sign. And that means that Venus rules just by a few minutes that 5th house. And remember that he had, here we go, destiny, 15 degrees. But then when you look on the 21st, when he finally figures it out, he has the moon at the cusp of the 8th. So it is really kind of, it's almost like his chart was telling you with the Aries point for the midheaven. It's almost like it is telling you that there is something for him, okay, coming. And you get this. This is the day one. And look, Venus is still the ruler of that. And in this particular case, Venus happens to be, hold on, I did know where it was. This was in 92. And so Venus was, and I hate when I do this, so let's do this because I hate when I have to look. Okay, it's in Capricorn. So Venus is here with Uranus. Wow. You see that? Yeah, it's in the, it's totally in this 7th house, but there is a sudden, could be falling in love, but in this case it was money. So I did want to look at that as well. So with that said, let me come back so I can end this. So I'm back, and we made it. I got through 2 of them today. So I did them separately. They are very different. One is a mundane, one is for gambling. But I really wanted to show this gambling one because some of the gambling ones that I've shown have been rather obvious. I did not think this lottery winner was very obvious. If you find something that you could add to what I've done, I would really appreciate it because I worked very hard on this one, and I really felt there should be more that would jump out at me, and it didn't. So, I mean, there were things there, but when you think about how much money it is, I would have thought it would have been more uh, accurate. And supposedly this is an accurate birth time, so I don't know. With that said, I'm going to say thank you for watching the video. And as always, wrong camera, until we meet again, this is so terrible that I do this. Until we meet again, I wish you only happy reading.